granting a 90-day pause on his reciprocal tariffs against most of our trading partners except China.
The president got tougher on China yet again by raising tariffs on its exports to 125%. Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor has today's top story.
The White House says this decision was all President Trump. His top trade representative, who was testifying at a House hearing, was even caught off guard at the announcement.
People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippee.
U.S. stocks shot back up when President Trump announced on social media that he's authorizing a 90-day pause in his widespread tariff war.
Do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded.
That's why the Trump administration says one country will still pay: China.
I'm not calling it a trade war.
President Trump is now raising U.S. tariffs on the country to 125%. After China announced it would levy an 84% tariff on the U.S. starting Thursday.
We instead are in the driver's seat, as we should be.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says the short-term impacts of tariffs, particularly on farmers, are still unknown.
No one knows. We don't have a crystal ball.
But Democrats like Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss say one of the short-term impacts of President Trump's plan is chaos.
The president is issuing tariffs by tweet, and nobody has any idea how they're supposed to allocate capital for the next day, much less for the next 10 years.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the administration now has about 75 negotiations lined up with other countries, and the president plans to lower his baseline tariff to 10%.
The only certainty we can provide is that the U.S. is going to negotiate in good faith.
And if nothing changes before then, the president's tariff pause on most of our trading partners would lift July 8th. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois criticized the president's trade policy during a speech on the Senate floor this morning. He pointed to the roughly 19% drop in the S&P 500 this week before today's suspension announcement. Durbin expressed concern about the damage a trade war could do to the United States' relationship with Canada and the European Union. He called for Republicans to step up and take a stand against the president.
If the Trump tariff tax continues unabated, it's going to destroy this economy, period, end of quote. We are dealing with many people who feel that we are already in a recession, are headed to one quickly. Will there be 4 Republicans who will step up and say, stop? We cannot do this without some thoughtful consideration of what impact it's going to have on our economy.
Durbin maintained his position the tariffs are damaging to American families and businesses after the president announced putting most of the tariffs on hold for 90 days.
The cause of the death in a homicide of a 19-year-old woman was announced earlier today. Rock Island County's coroner determined Alexa Rowland died because of traumatic head injuries. Her death was ruled a homicide after an autopsy. Officers found her dead in a room at the American Motor Inn Saturday morning when called there to do a welfare check. No arrests have been announced in the incident.